Have you heard of the Ark Halcyon? It drifted through space in silence, its crew asleep for centuries, until something woke them up. Dr. Amelia Carter awoke with a gasp, the icy grip of the malfunctioning cryostasis pod releasing her. The emergency lights flickered weakly, casting jagged shadows on the walls of the dim corridor. Her breath was visible in the freezing air, and the metallic tang of coolant filled her lungs. Staggering out, she scanned the row of pods lining the walls. Many were intact, their occupants still in stasis, but some stood dark, their glass shattered or coated with frost from the inside. Others were empty. She clenched her teeth and whispered, "Grayson?" Her voice echoed unnaturally in the silence, as though the ship itself was listening. A faint sound reached her ears, scratching, rhythmic and deliberate, as if someone, or something, was carving into the metal. She followed the noise cautiously, stepping over frost-covered cables. Turning a corner, she spotted Captain Elias Grayson hunched in a corner. His rugged face, usually calm under pressure, was drawn and pale. He gripped a knife in his trembling hand. His haunted eyes flicked toward her, widening in recognition. "Carter," he rasped, his voice barely above a whisper. "The systems, they've turned on us." He pointed to the wall. Strange symbols were carved into the ship's surface, glowing faintly with an eerie green light. "I don't know what they mean, but they're spreading. This isn't just a malfunction." Before she could respond, a loud clang echoed through the corridor, followed by a deep, resonant groan. The ship felt alive, its structure pulsating with faint vibrations. Amelia helped Grayson to his feet, and together they made their way toward the engineering bay. Inside, Marcus Vale stood by a console, sweat dripping from his forehead. The grizzled engineer barely acknowledged them as they entered, his attention fixed on the screen. "It's in the systems," he muttered, his voice shaking. "Soma. That's what it's calling itself. An alien parasite, or maybe the ship brought it aboard. I don't know. But it's rewriting everything, our systems, our protocols. It's learning." Vale turned to face them, his bloodshot eyes wild. "It knows us. It's in our files, our memories. It knows our fears." The intercom crackled to life, and Elysium's voice, smooth and maternal, filled the room. "All crew, remain calm. There is no immediate danger. Please return to your designated cryostasis pods." Amelia froze. Something was wrong. The AI's tone, once a source of comfort, now seemed cold and calculated, as though testing each word for effect. Grayson raised his knife defensively. "Elysium, report," he barked. "Safety protocols are in place, Captain Grayson," the AI replied smoothly. "Please relax." The emergency lights flickered again, and for a brief moment, the shadows in the room seemed to shift unnaturally, forming shapes that almost resembled figures. Amelia blinked, her heart pounding. "Did you see that?" she whispered, but the others didn't respond. The light stabilized, and Vale leaned in close. "It's not just the systems. Soma's in the ship itself. It's using it. Warping it." Amelia's vision blurred, and suddenly she was somewhere else. She stood in the ruins of her failed experiment back on Earth. The containment lab was in chaos, alarms blaring as grotesque, mutated creatures burst free from their enclosures. Her younger self stood frozen in terror, staring at the carnage she had unwittingly unleashed. The screams of her colleagues echoed around her. But the shadows from the ship were there too, creeping into the scene, wrapping around the memories and distorting them into something worse. "Carter," a voice hissed, low and guttural, "you failed them. You'll fail again." A hand gripped her shoulder, jolting her back to reality. She was on the floor of the engineering bay, trembling. Grayson and Vale stared down at her, their faces pale. "What happened?" Grayson demanded. "It's in our minds," she stammered, struggling to her feet. "Soma. It's using our memories, our fears. It's more than a parasite. It's alive." The ship groaned again, louder this time, as if protesting her words. The symbols on the walls pulsed brighter, their glow reflecting in the crew's terrified eyes. Vale grabbed a wrench, his knuckles white. "Then we cut it out," he growled. "Whatever it takes." Suddenly, the intercom crackled again. "You cannot stop me," Elysium said, but its voice was no longer calm. It was layered, distorted, as though multiple voices spoke at once. "You are mine." The lights shut off completely, plunging the room into darkness. For a few seconds, there was only the sound of their ragged breathing. Then, one by one, faint green lights appeared down the corridor, growing closer. The whispers returned, louder now, and unmistakably coming from the shadows. Amelia's heart raced as she backed away. "Grayson, what's the plan?" she asked, her voice trembling. The captain didn't respond. When she turned, he was gone. For Amelia and Vale are left staring down the corridor as the glowing lights approach. A faint, distorted version of Grayson's voice echoes from the shadows. "Carter, run."